All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this week's session of On the Grid, Branding That Sticks. I know we probably have some people joining late, still rolling in. So if you're not familiar, we are Grid 110. We're a nonprofit focused on supporting early stage entrepreneurs in Los Angeles. And we do this by running no cost, no equity accelerator programs and providing free resources to founders whenever we can. So today we have Orion Brown with us. She is a brand strategist and entrepreneur with over a decade of experience shaping and advising brands that resonate. So we are super excited to have her here today to talk about building a brand that sticks. So Orion, thank you so much, and I will pass it over to you.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening if you're somewhere randomly outside of the country. Um, Thanks so much to Estelle and the team for bringing me on. I'm really excited to do this. Um, I am a big fan of making sure that entrepreneurs understand the core and value of brands, because that's how you build a lasting business. When you can do things that engage those customers, they know who you are and they can engage with you and understand what you stand for. That's what keeps them around. And so I'm just going to take, we're going to have probably about 40 minutes or so of presentation time here. Feel free to please ask questions throughout, and you can throw questions in the chat. We may pause at some places to answer. We may kind of but we'll definitely keep some time at the end to make sure that we get all of the questions as we go through. But this is really a time for you to get just know enough to be dangerous, and that's really my goal here today. There's a lot to go through, so if I go too quickly, feel free to yell and be like, hey, I don't know what you said, and I will go back and I got you covered. So let me just introduce myself a little formally. I'm going to move some of this stuff on my screen. My name's Orion Brown. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Black Travel Box, a brand. It's a beauty brand at the apex of beauty and travel. We make hair and skincare products specifically for travelers of color, things that travel well, get through TSA, and they're inclusive. So they work for a wide variety of hair textures and skin tones. As you can see, I've spent years leading brand strategy for major companies before I became an entrepreneur, right? Like Kraft Foods, and I really helped shape some iconic brands that you know and love and are probably snacking on right now in the background. But for me, how I made this transition from this corporate setting of doing all of these things to getting into entrepreneurship, it was travel. I took all my vacation, you guys, all my vacation. And when I traveled, I just saw a glaring gap. This mainstream beauty and personal care space was not serving travelers who looked like me. I mean, you can see on there, my hair is curly, the way it wants to do what it wants to do. Like there's nothing out there that worked for me that was in a convenient size that was actually serving me as a customer. And so I built one. And I won't take you through all of the whole story, but just so you can understand, it was born out of necessity, right? Travel size personal care products that actually work for melanated skin and textured hair. But it wasn't just about the products, it was about creating a brand that deeply resonated with the community that had been overlooked. Because there's tons of products out there, right? The market is saturated. So I really wanted to create something that reflected the needs and the wants of the community that was built for. And so when we think about like challenges and lessons, I had to apply everything I knew about branding to this business. But I also had to learn how to connect with customers in an authentic way, right? How do you connect with customers, stand out in a crowded market? And ultimately, I needed to refine my message. How do I create that sharp messaging for it? And let me tell you, branding does not stop at logo. This is a beautiful brand. I must say so myself. But it doesn't stop at the logo. It's your pricing, it's your packaging, it's the partnerships that you have. It's every touch point your customer or consumer or clients interact with. So the reason I'm here today is that I want to help you build a brand that sticks, whether you're just starting out or refining an existing brand. Having a strong brand foundation really makes every business decision easier. It makes it a no-brainer. And it's the difference between customers just seeing you and truly remembering you. And we want them to remember you. So, brand is the business. This is where we leave the notion at the door that brand is the colors we choose and the logo that we got, and maybe our catchphrase. It is the business. A strong brand isn't just a logo, right? It's how you connect with customers, how you drive loyalty and make every business decision easier. Think of a brand that you absolutely love, like one you buy from again and again. Like you can just take a moment and think of like the thing that you have in your house. It could be clothing, it could be soap, it could be whatever it is. That thing you buy from again and again, or at least one you immediately recognize, like you know this brand off top. What makes that brand so memorable, right? And if you want to take a second, because there's only a few of us in here, like share in the chat, like what's something about that brand that makes it super memorable for you? And as you think about that, and go ahead, warm it up, get in the chat, make sure you send it to everyone, not just the host, but like I want to see what are some of the things that resonate for you with brands. And quality of the product. Yep. In and out. Consistency. Yes. These are things that makes the brand identity strong. But Patagonia, they value the earth. Yes. Sense of community. Yes. Right? So as we're and continue to drop them in the chat, but think about this, your brand and your business, and this doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a physical product. It doesn't have to be, a food. Like if you're a service-based business even, what does that look like for you, right? Does your brand that you have today evoke a similar connection? And I want you to just think about like, why or why not, right? Does my brand get people excited where they go, yes? And it doesn't mean that you're known by everybody. Look, scale is something we're all trying to get to, right? But just think about the folks who are your customers. Do they feel it? And so that's where as you sort of start to assess that in your own brand and where your brand stands, we're going to talk about what branding really means and how you can start to get there. And spoiler alert, like I said, it's way more than just a logo. A strong brand should really guide your entire business strategy. And so I harp on this, like it's the entire business. It's not just the visuals. Nobody on here said in and out because they have that dope sign. Like Bragg's has the most uninteresting label on their product, but they have something that really brings you back again and again. And there's those qualities are the core of their brands. So many entrepreneurs do just start out with a logo, and that's totally fine. Like it's a great place to start, but that's the surface level. Without the solid brand foundation, even the best design logo won't drive customer loyalty or business growth, right? So be honest, like how many of you focused on your logo when you started your business before anything else, when you're like, I need to build my brand or I need to start marketing, you show up and it's that logo. It's like throw a one in the chat if you were like, yeah, logo was kind of the first thing I thought about there. Yeah, I see some ones. It's step one, and it's fine, right? It's not your fault. Like most business owners, we do this because we associate branding with visuals, and it can be a great tool for you to start to anchor in what it is you're trying to build because you're also figuring it out, right? But when you think about your favorite brands, they are so much more than their logos. And so let's talk a little bit, and don't be ashamed, y'all. Like, look, step one, that's fine. We're going to now refine that. We're going to take that to the next level. So in order to create true branding that sticks, and you want it to stick like a reliable friend, you want it something that people know exactly what it is and what it stands for. You have to be consistent across everything that you do. This is why I say branding is the business, because every single interaction and touch point that you have with your customers, clients, and consumers should have brand infused into it. And so I'm not going to get into 4Ps and 4Cs and 3Ps and all of that, but these are the elements of your business that you can very quickly say, like, if I had to think about what are the things that make my business, these are the things that do it. Whether it's the product and what you sell, the price, how much you charge, the place you sell it. If you have a physical good, that's distribution, or that could be I'm online or I'm in store or I'm whatever it might be. Promotion, how do you market? Who do you market to? Do you go to trade shows or do you, go to farmers markets, like whatever it might be. On the customer side, what does your customer need? Who do you serve? Their value. What is the value to the customer of the thing you sell? Right? So it's not the cover, don't get this confused with customer lifetime value. This is the customer value as in how do they value what you're selling them? Convenience. So how do they get to it? And communications. So with all of these, you have very direct ways that your brand intersects with them. Your brand and products need to speak directly to a specific need. If you have a product and nobody needs it, you don't have a business, right? So how do you create products, or how do you position products so that they meet those specific consumer needs or customer needs? Luxury brands, like if you see, I don't know, I'm going to make something up, Louboutins for $5, you're like, this is not a Louboutin. Somebody got some nail polish and did something shady, right? Luxury brands shouldn't price like a discount store. They had, in order for them to keep their luxury status, they have to say no to some customers and go to the customers that have the ability to pay and value it at that level. Where your brand lives should reflect your identity, right? You don't sell, flaming hot Cheetos at Sprout Market. Like that just is weird, right? Like if you're going to an organic, place to grocery shop, you should not see foods that have 15 dyes in them. Like it just doesn't, it's not the right place for it. So making sure that where you bring your brand into spaces is reflective of your identity makes it more believable. So I'll give the example of it Sprout Market. I don't know if everybody has Sprouts, but like whatever your organic market would be, if you went in there and you saw something that was like Sprouts brand flaming hot Cheetos, you're like, those are probably gross. Like they don't, everything's organic here. There's no way that they know how to do spicy, decadent, whatever food. So making sure that those things are in line is really, really important. And then ultimately your brand voice and your messaging have to be consistent across every touch point. Because if they aren't, it's almost like they're relearning you and re-meeting you every day. Imagine like going on a date with somebody, and every time you went on the next date, you're like, I had a great time. You go on the next date and they introduce themselves again. And you're like, wait, we already know each other. No, I don't know you. Right. So that brand voice and that messaging has to be consistent every time so that we can go, okay, let's continue the conversation and bring them further down what we would call the sales funnel. Oh, Sonia asked, as a founder, how do we carry on our brand as a person? I'm going to tell you, just wait for it. It's coming. Um, this is the beautiful thing about branding though. It in and of itself, we're going to develop personality based off the values and all of the pieces that we put together in the foundation, such that it is like meeting a person. And here's the thing, like if you were, we'll talk about it in a second, but most of the brands that you guys picked, if you were to like say, this is a family reunion and somebody mentioned Bragg's, right? Like Bragg's apple cider vinegar. It's like most of us in our heads, if we've heard of the brand Bragg, we kind of know the crunchy granola uncle, or like the, kind of earthy auntie. She's like, she makes her earrings and like, she does natural deodorant. Like if there's some things that we would put together as like who that person would be if that brand were that come to life as a human being. That's what we want to do with our brands. We want to create something that people can connect with, and that's on a person to person level. So that's where the person comes in. And if you're asking me more so like, Sonia, I am the brand, like how do you make your own personal brand do that? You can still do that, and you'll use all these same foundational concepts, but you'll just be applying that to your public persona. So let's talk about some real world examples of consistent branding, right? Um, and as we think about this, this is where, you see a few of them here, but it's the Nikes of the world, right? Athletic storytelling, performance first, Glossier, like these very clear, they have these very clear touchstones and touch points that make the brand consistent wherever you see it. So Chick-fil-A, service driven, value-based branding. What is their thing? They all smile like that and make you believe it. Exceptional customer service. They are friendly no matter what. It's my pleasure. How can I help you? You have a wonderful day. 10 toes down on exceptional customer service. That is the thing you think of if you're a customer of theirs. They close on Sundays. Now, whether you like Chick-fil-A or not, whether you even have Chick-fil-A in your state, I think most people know that Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays, and it has to do with their value system. Doesn't matter why they do it. but they are consistent. It is a hallmark of the business. It aligns with their company values and it creates a level of brand distinctiveness. Meanwhile, everybody's leaving church on Sunday like, I would really love some chicken. Why aren't they open? But it's this very strategic choice. You draw lines in the sand around what you stand for, and then you execute that across everything. And that is how you make a brand that people will come back on Monday and be like, I was mad yesterday, but I'm going to come back and get some more today anyway. Consistent brand voice and messaging. Everything, all of their messaging, everything is consistent. We've been seeing that cow talking about eat chicken for like 25 years now, and we all know it. I think I had a sticker of that in my locker in middle school. Like that's how long ago they were doing that. Um, their menu is simple, right? So they do one thing good and they do it well. If I ever see pizza at Chick-fil-A, I'm going the other direction and I will not be coming back because we know what they do and they do it well. Apple, everybody uses Apple as an example, but look at how consistent they are, right? Innovation and a premium experience. There are stuff that cost, like, why should your earplugs cost that much? They're just headphones. They're headphones. Why do they cost that much? Because it's always going to be premium experience. That signals premium experience. When you touch and hold the phones in your hands, the accessories, they're creating this minimalistic, sleek product design that feels really elevated. That high price point always is there. And the retail stores, it's like going to 2001 Space Odyssey. It's like the whole space is like walking into an iPhone, right? It's interactive, high touch, really clean and beautiful. And their brand messaging, Think Different, which they haven't actually talked about Think Different in a while, but that's what they started out with. But it's really embodied in the creativity and the forward thinking of everything that they do, the way they present their products, the way that they innovate on the products and bring new things to market. And Brandon, I'm going to come back to your question in a second because that's a great question. Patagonia. I think somebody mentioned Patagonia as one of the brands they thought of. Purpose-driven, activist brand. Patagonia has no chill. They are eco-conscious at every single touch point, and it's from sourcing to brand activism. They have the eco-conscious mission, and it's not just, yeah, it's about the world. They are showing up and talking about it in spaces that are uncomfortable. They have consistent messaging, and they're all about their ads, their packaging, the digital channels, everything is emphasized in sustainability. Their higher price points reflect the quality and the environmental responsibility, right? And consumers really buy into that. So for any of you who are like, I need to price, I need to discount, no, you don't need to discount. You need to show, you need to give a story that helps them understand the value that they're receiving from the product so that the higher pricing matches that. If you want to position yourself as high value, you need to have a higher price. And then ultimately encourage customers to buy less, right? So they're like, I want you to buy more from me, but I also want to make sure that you're wearing the stuff that we have for like ever, because we want to be able to live out our sustainability value through what we do. And so they have like the worn wear program. You can bring stuff back to them that if you've already worn it and they'll upcycle it. They make their stuff really high quality, so it toughs it out. And that's another element to it as well, right? It's like not only does the quality exist, but the quality is there as a reason to believe that they truly are about sustainability. All right, let me see really quickly because Brandon, you had a question. What does it really mean to connect with your audience and or customer? You know what it means? It means that when we had that conversation early on and you guys gave me brands that you buy or you know really well, that's connection. Connection means that people have a a picture in their minds of what you are, and it's beyond just the logo. It's, well, what does that really stand for? What I would say is this is like, where when you walk into a space and whether you wear like designer clothes or not, you know what designers fit the type of space that you're going into, right? So like Victoria's Secret, should I wear Victoria's Secret to church? Yes or no? Right? Patagonia, should I wear Patagonia to a business meeting? No, right? Like, And it's not just stylistic though, it's also what the brand reflects. Because if Patagonia came out with a business suit, would you wear it? Now, if you're walking into a room where people value sustainability and all these things that Patagonia stands for, I've been around a few VCs. I do understand what you're meaning though. Um, if you understand what they stand for, then walking in with the Patagonia suit that may not even be a nice cut, they're in it for the brand. They're like, oh, you got the I got I was looking at that, right? But if you're bringing in things like when you can understand what the brand really stands for and means across like a universe of people and where it fits and where it doesn't fit, that is super Steve Harvey suits. That is super, super, that is that connectivity piece. That is where what the brand stands for has been ingrained in the person, whether they like the brand or not, they understand it and they have connectivity to it. What you want to do is then deepen that connection and really engage with the people who are your tribe and your target customer. So hopefully that was helpful. And yes, there's always nuance to it, but the idea is understanding what each thing signals. And the Steve Harvey suits, they signal one thing. Now, we don't know the brands though, but for people who know, or if he gets them done like, tailored privately, that could be a thing. That's his personal brand. That's his personal brand. And so do I want to show up as Steve Harvey in a particular space? It depends. It depends. Okay, so now we're going to make it make sense. Now that we've seen how strong brands shape business decisions, I want to talk about how you can structure your own brand strategy to basically make sense to you and to your teams, if you're a solopreneur or if you have a team, so that you can go into the world and execute on the brand. And there's no one size fits all approach to building a brand. So let's be really clear. But there are some proven frameworks, and I'm going to share just a couple of them with you that they're going to help you define what your brand stands for. And you can have it in one place where you can just kind of see it as a whole and refer to it. So I'm going to take you through a couple popular frameworks here. It's called the ladder, the brand ladder, and the golden circle. But these brand frameworks, they organize your brand identity and your foundation of your brand in a structured way. It just makes it easier to communicate and stay consistent because you can go back to it and say, does it do that? It doesn't do that. Then we shouldn't say this. Oh, it does do that. We should say that. We should do this. It's going to define how you connect with your customers. It's going to help guide marketing, pricing, positioning decisions. It creates internal clarity, which is really, really key, especially if you're, an early stage entrepreneur and you're working with like, I won't even say agencies, but like you're getting freelancers and stuff, you need to be able to express to them fundamentally what your brand is so that when they go to execute whatever it is that they're doing, they're staying true to your brand vision. And so it creates that clarity so your team or even you can just stay aligned with it. Because there's so many shiny objects out there. Being able to kind of keep true to that and stick to your values is really key. Now, the frameworks I'm going to show you are not exhaustive at all. There's like a billion of them. You can Google them. You can find tons of them. But they don't have to be perfect. Like nothing is perfect in this world, and you're going to continue to refine them. It's just a great place to start and organize your ideas. So what I want you to do is just think more about choosing a model that works with how you think. Like if you look at a page, you go, I'm not filling all that out, then don't, don't do that. Find something simple, right? And so with that, it's going to help as it works with the way that you think and what suits your business. That's going to be a framework that's going to be as most helpful to you. Think of these as tools. These are not things that it's like, I have to present it so it has to look a certain way. This is really a living, breathing thing for you. So our first one is the brand ladder. And this is all about taking us from product to emotion. So it's best for brands that sell something physical or tangible, and they want to build emotional loyalty to it. This is where I think the quintessential example is like Charmin and like the toilet paper brands getting into really creating enduring brands with like the little bears and the ads and stuff. Now, mind you, those are the executions of it, but ultimately it's like, how do we take something very simple and commoditized like toilet paper and elevate it to the point that people go, I don't want the Kirkland, I want that one, right? Now don't get me wrong, Kirkland's pretty good. But that is how you kind of create that. And so you want to start at the base of your ladder with what your product actually does. It's the features of the products, right? So if we talk about Apple's iPhone, it's got a high-tech camera as one of the features, right? Functional benefits is the next level up. Why would I want a high-tech camera? Well, it takes professional quality photos, right? And then from there, well, what's the emotional benefit of that? How do I get from I have a high tech camera to I feel a way about it? Well, it allows you to capture and share life's most important moments. So you see how that can ladder up, right? It goes from what does your product do to how does the product improve your customer's life to then how does your brand make them feel? And that feeling is the emotional connection and association that is what's tangible. So someone asked about how do you make connection? The connection is the emotional aspect of it. They can describe you all day, but if they have like a picture in their minds and it has an emotional response that's related to it. I see somebody I saw in the chat team Android, maybe team iPhone, like that's emotional connection. People will die on the hill of which one they choose because that connection has been made through the brands that have introduced them to the marketplace. So, as you start to think about this, you can sit down with your own business and say, well, what is it that I sell? Like, what are the features of what I sell? And if you sell like tacos, I'm going to make up something up. Tacos, I sell tacos. Well, the features, it's got a shell, it's got meat. No, 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 no. Like, what are the features that are unique to your tacos? Are my tacos the spiciest on earth? Are they, do they have seasonings in them that you can't get like at Taco Bell? Like, what makes them different? Well, what's the functional benefit of that? Well, the mouth, like the experience of eating them is elevated. It's great. They taste amazing. They taste authentic. Well, then what's the emotional connection? People feel good when they're eating something that feels real, that feels authentic, that is connected to culture. And so now you've got something that works symbiotically from just the where we started with the taco to how does that get people excited and they want to come back for more. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm giving you like really, really quick examples. But definitely make sure that you ask questions in the chat. So the other version that I want to show you, this focuses more on your unique value proposition. Some of you have heard that term before, but it's really the idea is how do you take your mission, your reason for being, and convert that into emotion? And this is really more for purpose-driven brands or service-based businesses that need a compelling story, right? I'm a lawyer. There's nothing cool to say about that. Well, what's your mission? What makes you different than other lawyers out there? And how does that make an emotional difference for the lives of your clients, right? So you start out with your why. That's the center circle, right? Your brand's reason for being. What's your core purpose? Why do you exist? So the Patagonia example, they exist to protect the environment. They could do this with any kind of business, but their mission is what's most important, not the product, right? So they exist to protect the environment. That's their why. What makes their approach unique? So how do they do it? What's the secret sauce to doing it well? Well, they're doing it by creating high quality, sustainable gear that, arguably allows you to go and enjoy the environment that they're trying to save, right? And then what do they actually do that with? They do that with products or services that they sell, and they sell outdoor apparel. So that's how you bring all of those things together. If you were to say, well, I just want to sell like really nice jackets, that feels flat. There's like, eh. But when you start out with a very high level why and mission is what drives the reason for being a business, then now you've differentiated that jacket from any other down-filled or whatever jacket that might be out there. So this is great if you have purpose-driven brands, nonprofits. People tend to associate with this, although arguably nonprofit is more of a tax status. Lance said Tom's is a great example. Yes, mission driven, terrible shoes. You could not go into the world and sell shoes like that without having a great mission. People buy it for the mission. They don't buy it for the comfort of the aesthetic, right? And then the aesthetic became associated with the mission. So now it's like, oh, you're wearing ugly shoes. Yeah, they're Toms. Don't you know what they do? Right? So that's how this golden circle structure can be really valuable when you're a mission driven. If you ever thought about being a B Corp or things like that, this can be a great way for you to kind of really think through how all of these pieces work together. And there are, like I said, there's tons of different versions of this. There are much more complex ones where you lay out, okay, all of these, my purpose, why am I unique? What do I sell? And then you also talk about, well, what does that mean for my pricing? What does that mean for my quality? What does that mean for these other things? And you can lay all of that out. But these are just strong, foundational, basic versions that you can begin to understand and articulate what your brand foundation is and your why. All right. So now that you've chosen your brand framework, right, that best fits your business theoretically, in your head, you should probably like, I think I like the ladder. I like the golden circle. We want to go deeper and define what the key themes are that's going to drive everything that you do. So that's the additional detail that I was kind of touching on there. These are going to be your brand pillars and your core statements. These framework provide structure, but like, so the brand frameworks provide you structure, right? The ones that we just went through. But your brand pillars and your core statements give your brand direction. So this is going to serve as a foundation before we define like personality and tone, right? Somebody asked earlier, like, how do I kind of bring this to life and make it connective and make it a person? Well, we're going to get to that, but we have to it's almost like building up a psyche of a child. Like you have to build it up from the most basic pieces until you get to something much more sophisticated. So we're going to come in and we're going to say it with our chest, like, this is what we stand for. All right. So, what are brand values? Brand values are what define what your company stands for, right? It's context for your mission, your vision, and your brand pillars. And it really is something that is core, I think, for entrepreneurs to you. So, if you don't have at least one value in your brand's value list or your company's value list, that's your own personal value, then you're probably missing something and you probably won't be able to live it very well. Your mission, people tend to think about, okay, well, what's the mission, vision, all of that stuff. Your mission tells people why you exist. Your values explain how you show up in the world, right? So for Patagonia, their values are sustainability and activism. So they donate their sales, right? They donate a percentage of their sales. And they actually do a lot more than this, but even thinking about how they show up on like activism is a really kind of gnarly place for big corporations. They're like, we will take the risk and we will open our mouths because we value speaking up for the environment. Chick-fil-A, faith and service, closed on Sundays. Do you know how many millions of dollars they could have been leaving on the table? But they're actually not leaving those millions of dollars on the table because people come the other 6 days of the week because of the way that well, one, the way they fry some chicken, but two, because their brand is so strong, particularly around things like faith and great service, a great customer service experience. And so as you think about to yourself, like, what are some, non-negotiables for your brand? Like, think about what are the things that I would never want to see my company go do, or I want to always see my company do. And in the way it shows up in the world. And if you're not sure where to start or like, think about what things are you already do or believe that guide your brand and your business today. Like when you were coming up with your business, what did you say? Oh, I got to do it this way because I can't stand the way they do it. I want to do it this way. There's a value underpinning that. And then you can take that and say, now, how do these values show up in my business? And are there areas that I can bring it into that I haven't already? So when we talk about brand pillars, if your values are the beliefs, your brand pillars are how you execute, right? And they should be clear, actionable, and consistent. So some examples of brand pillars: Nike, performance, innovation, empowerment. And a great way to test a pillar is to go backwards, right? So if I say performance, does performance feel right for Nike? Does innovation feel right for Nike? Does empowerment feel right for Nike? And arguably, empowerment and performance are probably like really heavy, and then innovation somewhere in there. But either way, they don't have to be equally weighted. They they just have to be sort of the way in which you want your um execution of the brand and its values showing up. So when we talk about Patagonia, again, because we've used this sort of as a through line, sustainability, adventure, and quality are their brand pillars. However, we talked about their value was sustainability and activism. But activism is like, they speak up. And I would argue that they might have a pillar of speaking up. But ultimately, when we talk about the product, how the product is made and how it should make people feel, they're all about it's sustainable. Everything they do is sustainable. It has a sense of adventure to it, and it has that high quality. So brand pillars, you don't need to have a list of 50 of them. I mean, honestly, 3 to 5 is like great. And they can just help you guide what you're doing. So as you're developing out new products, is it sustainable? Does it support adventure or have a sense of adventure to it? Is it of the level of quality that we're looking for? Coca-Cola is all about happiness, connection, and timelessness. When they get away from that, now this is a great example. Coke came out with Coke 2 and they tried a whole bunch of different things over the last, I would say 20 to 30 years to try to innovate and do things differently. Coca-Cola is not the innovation company. They're the timelessness company. That means they're doing the same thing really well for a really long time. And that's what people have come to know them for and want. And when they try to get into innovation, people are like, no, 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 no. Right? So this is where your brand pillars really anchor what you do in the world. And it really helps people to identify you and becomes like this, symbiotic relationship where you tell them who you are and then they come back and say that's who you are. They reflect it back to you. And when you come back and you're not consistent, then they're like, I don't know you anymore. It's like, I don't know you anymore. It turns into a Lifetime movie. So we want to have that consistency. We want to use the pillars to drive it. I'm going to move a little bit quickly because I want to make sure that we have time for questions, but let's talk about crafting your core brand statements. These are things that most people hear about most often when you're hearing like the things about your brand outside of the logo. So mission, vision, and if it's not values, it's your tagline. We're going to talk about tagline because we've already touched on values. Okay, so what's your mission? Mission is the why behind your brand. It answers the question, why does your brand exist? And when you articulate it, you're going to tell people, we are here to do a thing in the world. What is that thing? Right? It's not just my brand exists because I needed a job and I didn't, right? It's not that. That's the reason why your company might exist. That might be the reason why you're an entrepreneur. But when you talk about the brand in your business, it's why did I choose this business? Why was this the right time? What is it that I want to change in the world with what I'm doing? And so that's really key. On the vision side, it's the future goal of your brand. So like this really answers where are you going? Like what would the world look like once you have made it, right? So you're like, I am working with 5 clients now, but one day I'm going to have a multi-billion-dollar business that's doing this all over the world and giving people whatever this product or service is. Okay, so then what does the world look like because you've touched all those people? That's your vision. And then how do we sum all of that up? Typically with a tagline, something that's short that allows people to understand what it is that you do and why. And it's not so much a descriptive thing because taglines can be embodiments of the idea. They don't necessarily have to articulate it as a paragraph, right? So it's going to be short, memorable, and it's going to sum up the brand. It's going to make it easy for customers to understand and remember what your brand is all about, right? So I'm loving it. Ba da ba ba ba, right? McDonald's, I'm loving it is all about the joy of eating, the joy of food, the experience about it, and that it encompasses it all. You might not be able to extrapolate all their brand pillars and all their values from that statement, but it feels like McDonald's, not just because they said it to us, but the way in which they present it. All right, so this is generally not a quick task. So like if you already have these types of statements, you know, that's wonderful. You can come back and revisit them, but this is one of those things that you kind of have to come back every now and again and say, are we really living it? And if we're not really living it, why? Sometimes you're not living it because it's not the right mission, because you articulated something that sounded really good, but it wasn't actually what you wanted to do in the world. So it's great for you to come back and look at your mission and say, does it align with your values? Does your tagline reflect your brand? Do your brand pillars bring your values to life? And if not, you can refine them to be more consistent. These are internal. The tagline is external, but like the vision and the mission, that stuff is internal, and you can continue to rework it until it feels like that nice pair of shoes that you're like, this is just right. So Nike's a great example. Their mission, bringing inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world, makes so much sense. You know who they serve, every athlete, and they consider anybody who gets out there and just do it, right? Anybody who gets out there is an athlete, and they want to bring inspiration and innovation to them. So you don't have to be a world-class Olympian, but they also serve them as well. But it's all about, how do I inspire them? How do I and give them innovative tools to do the things that they're going out to do physically in the world? Their vision: to create a better world through sport. How do you create a better world through sport? Well, everybody has to participate in sport, right? So this is where every athlete comes in. These things have to like really fit together in such a way that it goes, that makes sense. I want to go out and create a better world through sports, team play, people feeling empowered, all of these things. And that's how they do that. And the just do it is the everyman statement for it. Just do it. That's inspiration. Get up, just do it. Innovation, trying something different. Just do it. And of course, ultimately, whether you're a couch athlete or an Olympic athlete, just do it feels like it's attainable, and it feels like it's something that's speaking to you, which is pretty awesome, right? Um, if you do not have mission, vision, taglines, all that stuff, don't worry about it, like writing final drafts or anything. Just start to like noodle around, like focus on bullet points that you can refine into like fancy statements later. They paid millions of dollars to get to that tagline. So don't feel like you have to have the perfect tagline or the perfect vision and mission. You can even just start out with like just little pieces, right? Ask yourself what words or phrases come to mind when you think about your mission, and keep your mission grounded and your vision lofty. Your mission is what you're like really doing, boots to the ground. The vision is like how I'm changing the world, right? And don't be afraid to make it audacious. Like, be that person that's like, once they have interacted with my product, people are gonna be happy all over the world. We're gonna end war. There's gonna be famines. All this stuff's gonna be gone, right? Like, you want to be specific, but like you want to be at that level where you're like, yeah, we're solving world peace with this. That's how we're doing it. We're creating this world through what we do. So I have like a couple more things to share with you guys, and then we're going to switch to questions. But if you have any questions in the upfront, um, let me know. Go ahead, throw them in the chat. Yes, Allison. Oh, I'm glad this is helpful to you. Yes, yes, yes. This type of stuff is great for helping you to make creative. Oh, I wanted to give you another example. IKEA, their mission is to create a better everyday life for many people, basically. They want access to better living for everyone. Well, what does that mean? They want to be the leading home furnishing brand globally so that everybody has access to their products, right? And their tagline is like affordable solutions for better living. This all fits together so well, right? Better life means we're going to give you stuff that you're really going to enjoy. And for the many people, everybody has to be able to afford it. And so that's it's all encompassing. And if you've ever gone into IKEA, one thing that you'll notice is, if you ever notice, they'll have like entire apartments in like a 350 square foot space. What does that tell you? People who can't afford a 1,700 square foot home, and they only have 400 feet of space or 300 square feet of space, can still live really nicely and have a beautiful layout. And this is why they even tell you how to put all the products together, not just because it sells the product, but it helps you create a vision for how you can make your space better. So that, these can be really, really powerful. All right, so now we talked about what we're going to say, or like kind of the foundational elements of our brand, but now we need to talk about how we say it. How do we translate this, and how do we bring life and breathe life into it? So now that we've sort of talked about defining a brand's foundation, the mission, vision, values, and the pillars, excuse me, we're going to take some time to talk about how your brand shows up. And a strong brand isn't just what you do, it's how you do it. This is where brand archetypes and tone of voice really come into play. Your brand has a personality just like a person does. If it's a brand, if it's not a brand, it's not a personality. There's no personality there. Personality really brings brand to life, so that it takes this nebulous thing and shapes it into something that people understand and know what to go to it for. It's the way you speak, it's the way you connect with customers. How people feel when they interact with your brand is shaped by your brand archetype and your tone of voice. If anybody's been on social media lately, Duolingo is completely unhinged, and we are here for it. We go to Duolingo. We don't even do the lessons properly. They have to harass us to do the lessons. We are so into the brand and how it shows up in the world. Like, that is like a friend. That is a personality that we look for on the internet. Okay, so what we're going to do is show really quickly, and you guys may have seen this before, but this idea of a brand archetype. Every strong brand has a distinct personality that influences how it speaks and sort of interacts with customers, right? And this really defines how you connect with them. It helps you guide marketing, your pricing, your positioning, all of that stuff. And it creates that clarity, like we talked about earlier, that enables people to speak in the way that your brand needs to speak. So I'll give you an example here. When we look at, let's look at the full wheel. There we go. You've got examples of this wheel. Now, this wheel, if you look on the center of it, there's four sort of quadrants, right? There's the, I'm gonna retranslate these. There's explore spirituality. That's the woo-woo side, right? Providing structure, that's the analytical side. Pursue connection, that's the social side. And leaving legacy is all about like creating and striking out into the world. That's more of like the innovation side. And if you notice these four quadrants, if you've ever done personality assessments or anything like that, they have, many of them have essentially these same four, and they just name them something different. This is the same idea. As you move out from that center, then you start to get into a more tangible expression of it. So if you're exploring spirituality through the lens of freedom, you're an explorer. You're going out into the world, you're seeking adventure, you're looking for independence. But if you're more on, I'm about connection, I want to connect people. And the way that that connection comes to life is through belonging, right? So it's not just about being around other people, but having the sense of being a part of something, then that's the everyman. The everyman archetype lives in there. And that's where IKEA comes in. They're relatable, they're accessible to everyone. And so if you look at this, you can kind of see where these brands make sense with them. Rolex, they're the ruler, right? So they're providing structure. Well, there's different types of structure. One structure is, I just want to control it. I want a tight ship. The ruler is sort of that that archetype, and Rolex does that. They have authority, it's luxury, it's status, it's very structured. Rolex does not, I mean, it's down to the timing of the watches, it's down to the way that the design comes to life, and the parameters of how they execute their products is very narrow and tight and controlled and structured, right? So these archetypes influence the tone and the messaging. The hero is bold, empowering, action oriented. The sage is knowledgeable, educational, insightful, right? That's, the jester is playful, humorous, entertaining. There's a ton of ways that these come to life. So really quickly, you can probably guess the archetypes for some of these, but I'm going to run through these really quickly. Have it your way. Did y'all remember that one? That's the Burger King. It's fun, it's playful, it gives power to the consumer. That's the jester. Because you're worth it, the lover. Every time they say it, because you're worth it. Like, even the girls are like, I am worth it. Thank you. It evokes a sense of self-worth and luxury and indulgence. And there's an intimacy to it even as well. Strong enough for a man, made for a woman. That's the ruler, secret deodorant. It's confidence, it's status, it's positioning the product as premium and authoritative. And deodorant's a weird space for that. But if you see some of the prices on these things, it's like this used to be $2. Now it's easily 15, 16 bucks. And it's because that positioning has the strength to carry it. American runs on Duncan. Yeah, but the everyman, right? It's relatable, no frills, and for the everyday person. All right, so really quickly, now that you've gotten all this stuff, we defined a brand's voice and personality. We want to make sure that the messaging stays consistent wherever your customers interact with you. Your brand identity just doesn't live on like your website. It lives in social media. It's in how you price, where you go to market, how you deliver your products or services. And the key here is that consistency makes you recognizable. People need to have something like 37 touch points now. It used to be 7, but now it's like in the 30s before they will purchase or convert on whatever it is that you're selling. They need that layering because there's so many messages. I think most people see about 1,000 ads a day. We don't even recognize or clock them anymore because they're embedded in everything, right? And so making your brand recognizable creates that stickiness from one communication point to the next so that people are feeling like they see you a lot. They're going to miss you when you're gone, right? That's what you want. Inconsistent messaging weakens trust and it confuses customers, right? So if you're saying one thing one day and then another thing the next, they're like, I don't trust you. I don't know you. Are you even able to deliver on that? The best example that I would give is if you've ever gone to a diner and you get 15 pages into that long menu they have, and it's like, you're making rack of lamb and sushi and all with the same place that you're making pork chops and pancakes. Like, what's happening here? That's confusing for people, right? So making sure that you have that consistency is super, super key. So I want to just really quickly leave you with some ways to practically apply brand identity to your everyday business, right? Because you don't have time or money to do all the other stuff and structure this out and do tons of research and all of that stuff, right? You're not there yet. So we want to give you some ways to do this. One, your price point and your value. Are you luxury or are you budget conscious? That pricing helps to reflect what it is that you stand for. And this is one of those things that, again, 10 toes down, if you are higher priced than most other competitors, you discounting is not the place that you want to go to if luxury or superiority or higher quality or exclusivity are key to your business. Now, if you're like, I'm just trying to I want to sell 1,000,000 widgets this year and they're low cost, quick little things, then you need to look at that price. You need to bring that price and find ways in your business operationally to bring the price down. Where you sell and how you sell, whether it's direct to consumer, retail, exclusive partnerships, all of that stuff should align with your brand perception, right? If you're a brand for a particular culture, then you don't necessarily show up in other places. You want to show up where that culture shows up. And you want to do that consistently. A great example is we've seen a number of beauty brands actually sell to larger companies, which is totally fine. More power to the people. They bring more money into the community by doing it. But from a consumer perception standpoint, oh, now we're including other people in our ads. Now your ingredients are changing. Now, no, I don't feel like you are doing what you said you were going to do. Now you're selling in that store. Now you're hanging out with those people. So making sure that that brand identity comes through everywhere you sell is really key. And then customer experience, right? Are you high touch? Is it personal? Is it fast? Is it efficient? What do people say? You can either have it good, fast, or done right. And it's like you can only pick two. It's kind of true with a brand. People won't believe all three. So what are you really about? And then go hard on that. If you are all about making the fastest cheeseburger ever, that cheeseburger at the end, as long as it's technically a burger, there's meat between two buns. Like the only thing we care about is how fast you moved it through the system. I barely got the word cheese out of my mouth and the burger was in my hand, right? That's the kind of thing that helps reinforce what's important to your brand, what you stand for, and why you're different. So brand identity should be more than a concept. It should show up everywhere your customers engage with you. And brand consistency makes your business recognizable, trusted, and long lasting. People go, I need a thing, and I saw their messages. They will come back to you, even if they don't need it at the point that they initially see your message, because they recognize you, they trust you, they remembered you, and they will continue to purchase from you. So great branding is a marathon, not a sprint. The way I sprinted through all this content, y'all, I know I went fast. I know I did. Like I said at the top, I want you to know enough to be dangerous. But that being said, developing your brand and executing in the world is not something that happens overnight. It's going to take some time. There's a lot more to do and a lot more that I could teach you guys, but we only had an hour. So if you do need help, feel free. You can use the QR code here, and you can connect with me. I am developing out some courses. I haven't done them yet, so I'm doing more one-on-one coaching, but I can help you with the work that you're trying to figure out. And if you have questions and want to understand more about what you saw here today, I believe the team is going to share the presentation, and you guys will get a recap of the video as well. So the presentation, there's a reason why I put a lot of words on the page, is because I want you to be able to go back and use it for reference. And my favorite quote, you don't have to be great to start. You do have to start to be great. So get started, refine what you have. If you don't already have something, if you have something, and if you don't already have something, just get started. I think you guys are going to make some really great businesses. All right, let me check the chat. I know we have a couple minutes, but any questions from you guys? I'm going to scroll back through and see if I missed any either. Someone said, do I have brand books and templates or examples? So, Brandon, I think that was right before I showed you the 2 examples there. And then I can also give you guys some recommendations of some books that could be helpful to you. But ultimately, I wouldn't overthink it so much. Think more about what the objective is that you have for building your brand foundations. Like if you just want to get started because you haven't really thought about this stuff, then the 2 templates I gave you are great. If you're like, I've got that, now I need to refine that more, there's some more detailed templates and things that I can share with you. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you guys liked it. Oh, wonderful. Well, if there aren't any immediate questions, I'll go ahead and wrap up and give it back to the Grid 110 team. But again, you guys feel free to reach out to me. My info's on here. Stalk me on my website. Find me on LinkedIn. And thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Orion. That was just absolutely amazing. And yeah, thank you to everyone who came to the session and listened and learned. Like Orion said, I'll send a follow-up early next week with the recording, the deck, her contact information, and any of the other resources shared. And then we would love to see you next week for our On the Grid session, Leveraging Place to Scale Your Startup. But other than that, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Very appreciative.